All right, hey YouTube, Chanel Latimer here, and I wanted to take a chance to answer a few emails and PMs I had uh, pertaining to something I mentioned in my previous video where I talked about thinking outside of the box for musicians, trying to get through the pandemic and earning and I mentioned that I had sponsors earlier in my music career when I was more active, and so I said, well, that'd be a topic for another video, so here is another video. So to answer the question, how did I get sponsors, or how do you get sponsors? And well first of all, getting the sponsors wasn't actually a strategic move on my part. I really didn't have that on my mind. It's really something that fell into my lap. Sort of like I basically saw an opportunity and I acted on it. So here's what happened. First of all, I actually had a number of sponsors. My two main sponsors was Coldwell Banker and Washington Mutual Bank. Then I had a few smaller ones that would participate in certain events or whatever. One in particular was a favorite of mine. It was a company called Superlight Custom Backdrops, and that the lady who owned that company was super cool, and she was incredibly um creative. She sold backdrops, uh like kind of like the backdrops you see behind photographers, or even like, say, theater productions or whatever. And so her backdrops were actually used in a number of my concerts. So but anyway, so getting to Coldwell Bank or Washington Mutual. So the first sponsor I had was Washington Mutual Bank, and how I got them was this. So I had graduated Stony Brook University, and I pretty much was embarking on the beginnings of my music career, and I was performing, and you know uh and so within about a year of graduating, I'm like, you know what, I need to I need to do something to get people to know I'm out there, know who I am, and try to get uh, build my fan base. So I came up with the idea of running a jazz jam session on the campus of Stony Brook University. And so I there's a venue on the campus that the guy who ran it was super into it. He said, yeah, and so I started what I called the Sharp Nine Sessions. And it was great. And the whole idea was actually twofold. Like, on the one hand, I did kind of want to give back to Stony Brook for you know for what I got out of my college experience and stuff. But like I said before, the other end of it was really, I was trying to market myself and build a email list and a fan base, and that sort of thing. So and it was successful in that. But it came to a point where people were coming and all that. It was great, but I wanted to go up a notch. And so I came up with the idea of, well, it'd be cool if I can get some guest artists, particularly people of some notoriety in the jazz world, like Vincent Herring or whoever. So anyway, so one day, I'm going to Washington Mutual Bank. There was a branch near Stony Brook, the Stony Brook campus, and I had a checking account there. So, and I was going there to like deposit money or something. And so I'm online, and I hear these two tellers, these two women talking to my right, and I hear, oh, they're saying like, oh, we really need to find a way to get more students at Stony Brook to open up accounts, and ding 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 ding. I heard that, and I was like, you know what? I could do something with this. So I jetted out of the bank. Oh man, when I think back, like People must have thought there was something wrong with me. But I jetted out of the bank, flew home. I lived about 40 minutes from there, so I flew home, got in a business suit, flew back. Fortunately, I made it there before the bank was closed, and the two women were still there. So I introduced myself. I said I'm an alumni at Stony Brook, but I run an event there. Blah blah blah. I basically asked them if they were interested in sponsoring the Sharp Nine sessions, and I knew I would have their attention because they said they wanted more student accounts, more students out of Stony Brook. And here I am saying, I'm running an event in Stony Brook, so it was a definite in for them. I was doubtful that they'd take me seriously, because who am I? I'm just like, here I am appearing off the street. Say, hey, you want to give me some money for this? Uh, but they were very, very interested. And I like I said, I had their attention, so they agreed to do fund one of the sessions. And so I got a guest artist. I chose my musical mentor, Dan Falk, tenor saxophonist. And the arrangement was that they would provide the money to pay Dan, and the house band, and then they would be allowed to have a table inside the venue, and that would allow them to get students to come over and open an account with Washington Mutual Bank. So that was basically it. So and it went great. The jam session was packed, and Dan was great, and actually, and the agents that came to set up a table, they had a blast. They're like dancing around. It was a really good thing. And so anyway, so that was a success. Then they said, hey, let's do another one. I said, okay, that was a success, so let's do another. And that, and ended up, let's fund the semester. Okay, yeah, sure. So that's how I got Washington Mutual. And the other Coldwell Banker, how I got them was uh, by 2003, my jazz quartet, like we were starting to like really get people coming down. Like I was very uh, uh, aggressive about marketing the band and myself. By that point, I had an email list of, I don't even remember, like 500-600 people at least, and it was all through the Sharp Nine sessions. but anyway, so we had developed a sizable fan base, and pretty much everywhere we played, there were a lot of people that came to see us, and in one place in particular, which I would start to consider home base for us, because it was like kind of like the perfect venue, and atmosphere, and and location, all that sort of stuff. It was called 69 Wall Street, and it was like in downtown Huntington. And right now this is all Long Island, so eventually I'd go other places. But anyway, so we had gained a fan base, and uh alongside that, this venue called the Patchogue Theater for the Performing Arts had just gotten through some renovations. It had been going through some major renovations. They had closed down for a bit, and one of the members of their board was actually someone I was familiar with, because both he and I had been saxophone players. We participated in the Stony Brook University Jazz Ensemble. So he played baritone sax. I played alto, and so he he was a member of the board. They finished their renovation, and they wanted to kick things off with a jazz concert series, right? And they had a bunch of artists, well-known artists, lined up. One of them that I do remember, and I'll explain why I remember him, in a bit. But I remember him. His name is Chuck Mangione. He's a flugelhorn player. He's more of the smooth jazz style of playing. But anyway, so he kicked things off. I think he was the first artist, and so anyway, they wanted to include one local artist to be, a featured, have their own, concert and stuff. And so my name came up because word had gotten out that I was bringing down some sizable crowds. And so Victor, the name of the guy, his name is Victor. I forget his last name, but he was the member of the board I was talking about. Anyway, he said, well, let me go check them out, and so he did. He came one night unannounced to 69 Wall Street. The only problem was he couldn't get in because the place was packed like it usually was when we were there. And in fact, that particular night, he was telling me the line was out the door and around the corner. So anyway, and it was a great venue because the first floor was an Italian restaurant, the second floor was their bar and where they had the entertainment. So anyway, he couldn't get it. We played we off every time we performed there. We do 3 sets. That was like their arrangement, for any band that was there. And Victor could not get in for the first 2 sets. It wasn't until the last set that there was enough people who had left that he was allowed in. And I didn't know he was there until really the end of the set. Like, it was the end of the night. We were done packing up, and there he was. I was, oh, yeah, hey, Victor, long time no see, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, he was impressed. He loved the music, but he was impressed with, how many people were there and stuff. And he basically booked me on the spot. So that concert was in September of 2003. And so getting to now the other sponsor. Okay, so Coldwell Banker. So Washington Mutual, okay, so first of all, concerts are an interesting topic to talk about, and there's enough there for a whole nother video. So I guess here we go again, right? But anyway, you cannot do a concert the right way unless you have other people's money. It's just, you can't. You cannot rely on ticket sales. It's not enough. There's too many things that have to be paid for. So anyway, but some of the bigger expenses this first time around, I didn't have to concern myself with because we were invited. They invited me to perform there. So I didn't have to rent the venue, stuff like that. There's other things I had to worry about. I want to make sure my guys got paid well. I had a guest artist, again, Dan Falk. So I did need some money for those things. And so I was talking to a friend of mine. He's a printer, and his name's Lloyd. Lloyd, hey Lloyd. Anyway, Lloyd Gore, at the time, was actually doing a side job as a real estate agent for Coldwell Banker. And I remember we were having a conversation, and I told him about the concert coming up, in a few months, and this, that, and, I got to figure out a way to come up with extra money to make sure, blah, blah, blah. So he was like, well, let me talk to the office and see, and then he also offered to print up the programs, the playbills, for me and stuff. So anyway, between him talking to a couple of his clients who ultimately, some of them bought ads in the playbill, of course, and then I went talking to local businesses, and then, and the money that Coldwell Banker threw in, I was able to take care of everybody. Everybody got paid. We didn't have to worry about ticket sales. Although ticket sales were actually good because, remember, I talked about Chuck Mangione before. Okay, Chuck Mangione was a world-renowned, artist, famous. I outsold him. I outsold Chuck Mangione, my claim to fame. But but anyway, so that went well, and then Washington, I called Washington Mutual because they did. Oh, so I don't know if I mentioned this. They didn't want to participate in that because, they were a little iffy about, they didn't understand the whole concert thing, and, they were happy with just funding the Sharp 9 sessions. So, but I called them up, let them know how things went, told them about Coldwell Banker and this and that, and they're like, "Oh wow, well let us know when you're going to have another one." Well, that's when I by then I had decided, you know what? I see what this concert thing is about, uh, and there's more money that can be made this way. So why don't I have them use their money to rent halls wherever, pay for marketing, and then I'll produce my own concerts. And that's exactly what I did. All up and down the east coast of the US. I did a couple out west, but those were learning experiences. I kept on the east coast because the traveling was easier. It was easier to get musicians because, the truth be told, outside of the New York metropolitan area, I couldn't use the guys in my band. And most of my concerts were out of state, really, because I was trying to expand my fan base. I felt like, I had done well in the New York Met area. So I was focusing more on other states and metro areas and stuff. So I had to rely on getting local musicians there, and that's another topic for. Oh my goodness, there's a lot of topics in music, I guess. But so anyway, yeah, so that went well, and so the arrangement was kind of like Sharp Nine sessions, like they would what do you call it? They would provide me the funds to do the concert, and I basically provided them the means of getting people to sign up for accounts, or retirement funds, or mortgages and things like that. And the reason is this is where we get to something known as know your customer, which I mentioned in my last video. So anyway, I knew my fan base really, really well. I knew the demographics in and out because I'm a data nerd. I actually went to school for science, for marine biology, and but I graduated a jazz musician. But I kept my love of data and stuff like that. So anyway, so I understood my demographic, and as I mentioned previously in the other video, the overwhelming majority of my fan base were baby boomers and silent generation people. So and on top of that, over 80%. I forget exactly how. I feel it's like around 82, 83%, but over 80% of my fan base was affluent, meaning they had some money. Okay, so they were the perfect kind of people that these sponsors wanted. So I would allow them to have a table at my at the concert or whatever, so the agents could try to get accounts and things like that. Um and one thing I did, was my idea was, before the show and during intermission, there was a screen that I had that could be set up, and credit to Custom Light, Custom Super Light, Super Light Custom Backdrops. I say, anyway, aside from having a colorful backdrop for the show, a screen was provided where I would have a PowerPoint with slides of stuff from the sponsors and stuff from local businesses. And I of course charged the local businesses something. If they, some of them did the playbill ad, some of them did the PowerPoint, some of them did both. So I found ways to monetize. And it worked great. And so it was mostly Washington Mutual that funded most of those concerts. Coldwell Banker did a few, because by after that first one, I had talked to the corporate office of Coldwell Banker and let them know like what happened and stuff, and so they funded a few concerts. And so credit to Lloyd for bringing me up to them and stuff. But yeah, Washington Mutual was really my biggest sponsor. And so what would happen is, they would provide me with a check, an initial check, and that first check was a deposit to the venue, and then it also covered my marketing expenses, because I had to provide them with a budget and all that's anyway, spreadsheet. But so it covered marketing, and then at the what do you call it, the night of the show, you know, the agent, whatever agent or agents were there manning their table and trying to get accounts with, they provided me with the second check, the final check, that covered things like the balance owed to the venue, and the money for my sidemen, you know, money for whatever, you know, things that were left over, you know. And I kept all the ticket sales, all the merchandise sales, and things like that. So that was really how I made a living for, you know, from 2003 to 2008. That was you know, where I made the most money. And then of course in '08 the economy tanked and I lost the sponsors, and you know, I tried for about another year and a half or so, to do a few more concerts, but you know, I only did a couple, like, I don't know, maybe three, you know, because it became clear really quickly that I had to switch gears, and that's what I did. I started focusing on another aspect of what I did. I don't really do stuff much anymore, but you know, I was focusing on something else that I had already started touring with a little bit, but I put all my effort into that. I started touring more, and then eventually it became a national thing for me, and a very successful thing for me. So anyway, that's how I got my sponsors. You know, like I said, it wasn't a part of a strategy I had. It was just I saw an opportunity, and I tried to take advantage of it. Now, if anybody's looking to try to get sponsors to pay for their, you know, gigs or whatever now, okay, well, first of all, with COVID going on and everything, I'm sure it's exceedingly difficult. And I would go so far as to say you probably won't get one because, you know, all the companies, they're like really tight with their money right now. Number one, but that's not to say it's impossible. And I would say from my experience that, first of all, you can't go into the situation, you know, you get a meeting with these people and say, oh yeah, well, you know, my music is great and people like, you know, love me, and they don't care about that. Don't even waste your breath. Okay, what you need to explain to them is what is it you can do for them that will bring them more money. Okay, you have to do it that way. It's got to be from a business point of view, and you got to show what it is that you can provide. You know, I was lucky, to be honest with you. I didn't have to show. You know, I got lucky because in hindsight, um, I should have expected them to say, "Oh, well, do you have any statistics, any numbers on how many people show up, or because that's the kind of questions you're going to encounter for sure now." You know, I think I got lucky because the two agents I initially spoke with were, you know, relatively inexperienced. They weren't part of the corporate office, you know, and so and they were desperate to get student accounts at Stony Brook. But anyway, so I hope that helps somebody, you know. Um, so I guess I'll end the video there, and like I said, hope that helps. Bye.